migrant crossing, 2 weeks after more than 70,000 migrants surged into the enclave. On the beach in Ceuta, migrants have built makeshift shacks along a beach to shelter from the scorching heat, as thousands remain in limbo after the crossings. One of them is 36-year-old Azzedine Zayam. He says they just want to be legal, while others warned people back home not to attempt the crossing. Ukrainian drones have struck the Moscow region overnight, in what the provincial governor says is one of the largest attacks to have targeted the region. In posts on Telegram, Moscow region governor Andrei Vorobyov said that an 83-year-old man had been killed, and a warehouse belonging to Russia's largest online retailer Wildberries struck. Ukraine has been targeting Wildberries as part of a wider bid to damage Russian economic infrastructure. Russia's defense ministry says it downed over 800 Ukrainian drones throughout the country. Ukrainian officials say Russian forces launched missile and drone attacks on Kyiv overnight. And in neighbouring Romania, the defense ministry says an F-18 fighter on a NATO air policing mission shot down a drone that illegally breached national airspace. A NATO spokesperson says the drone appears to be Russian. It's the fourth unmanned aircraft shot down over the country this year. At least 11 people were killed in Israeli strikes in southern Lebanon on Saturday, according to the Lebanese health ministry. The strikes are some of the deadliest in weeks since a US-mediated peace framework was agreed. The Israeli military says it struck Hezbollah infrastructure in what it describes as a security zone in southern Lebanon, in response to actions against its soldiers there. Iran-backed Hezbollah says in a statement that the attacks would be, quote, met with what they deserve.
Introducing Meta Glasses. You have questions, they've got answers.
Hey Meta, what's the capital of Peru?
Lima.
How do you say, where's the restroom in Spanish?
¿Dónde está el baño?
Hey Meta, is a hot dog a sandwich?
Technically, no. Spiritually, yes.
Hey, Meta. What should I do with my life?
That's one of life's biggest questions. What do you think?
Ask anything with the new Meta Glasses.
The United States is preparing to tell dozens of countries they must choose between Washington and Beijing in the race to dominate artificial intelligence, according to a US official and an internal draft reviewed by Reuters. The draft State Department letter is addressed to 35 countries that signed a US-backed AI agreement in June. It warns they could be excluded from a US-led AI coalition if they also join a rival Chinese initiative. Meanwhile, in the auto industry, US carmaker Ford plans to move production of some Lincoln models from China to the US beginning in 2030. That's what Ford CEO Jim Farley told Reuters this week. Farley says the administration's tariff policy, plus restrictions on some Chinese technology, were the driving forces behind the decision. Our reporter Nora Eckert has more from Detroit.
This is a substantial move for Ford as it faces pretty hefty tariffs under the Trump administration. One of its Lincoln models, the Nautilus, had about 52.5% tariffs that it had been facing for the last year. Ford CEO Jim Farley told us that the automaker had been preparing to make this move for some time. I mean, these tariffs have been in place for many months now. And although Ford has a very strong U.S. production base, it found capacity to move even more production to the U.S. from China. U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick told us that Ford's move is really encouraging and that he wants to see more automakers following this pattern. We already saw GM onshore production of its Buick Envision model from China to the U.S., and we might be seeing more of these announcements as automakers confront a tariff landscape that seems here to stay.
While the US-imposed oil embargo on Cuba has cut off the island's government from crucial fuel to run its power grid and public services, Washington has allowed American companies to export hundreds of thousands of barrels of fuel to Cuba's private sector. That's created a thriving informal market that's allowed some businesses to stay lit during blackouts. But it's also deepening the gap between those who can afford imported fuel and those who can't. Our reporter Laura Gottersdiener is in Havana.
As the U.S. government is trying to starve the Cuban government, it is also trying to empower the Cuban private sector. It's part of the U.S. government's efforts to effect essentially regime change in Cuba. So in recent weeks, we went to visit a number of these black market fuel distribution sites. And I'm talking about small apartments in crowded blocks of apartment buildings, the back rooms of corner stores. It's essentially illegal, but this black market is operating in plain sight. And the prices are staggering. Earlier this year, the black market prices peaked at about $10 a liter. That's $38 a gallon. Earlier this year, as the U.S. oil blockade was essentially threatening to paralyze the country, the Cuban authorities authorized Cuban private sector businesses to import fuel for the first time. This represented a major opening of the energy sector, even though it was limited. Recently, President Miguel Díaz-Canel said that not only was Washington's oil blockade a genocidal siege against the island, he also said that the economic reforms that they've proposed were not undertaken to please the United States, and he has vowed that there will be no massive privatization of national assets.
Off the coast of Cyprus, a fisherman and a team of marine biologists are hunting lionfish, one of hundreds of invasive species now flooding the warming Mediterranean. Marine biologist Pericles Klaitou says humans are to blame.
I see that non-indigenous species is like the outcome of our actions, of our negligence, let's say, to protect a healthy ecosystem.
Scientists point to a combination of factors: climate change, for one, and the Suez Canal, which creates a gateway for fish from other climates to reach the eastern Mediterranean. Some, like lionfish, are venomous and harmful to humans and local wildlife alike. But fishermen and chefs like Petros Yangu says the best way to get lionfish out of the ocean is to get them onto the menu.
The venom and part is not in the flesh, so it's safe to eat.
Now, if you're listening to this, you already know the value of staying ahead of the news. With the Reuters app, you can listen to podcasts, watch analysis, and read breaking news on the stories shaping markets, business, technology, politics, and the global economy, all in one place. Tap the link in the podcast description to download the Reuters app and start getting pure news straight from the source. We'll be back tomorrow with our daily headline show.
This message.
Trying to figure out some of the destinations for this morning. I'm getting a lot of false positives. When I look at my dashboard, it's saying that we're broadcasting to a certain destination, and that is not the case. So that's not good. Let me figure this out. And big email to MediaCP. I mean, I owe them money because that annual membership has just come due. Because why not? It's not like, don't even get me started about money right now. Thanks, Donald. All right, this is the Mastiff Media Morning Show. Trying to get things this was so frustrating. Why is Steve Hofstadter paying on my phone right now? Why did it cut? Why did live feed cut? I think it's still going. All right. So everything was fine last week. Getting really bad audio stuff. Sorry, I'm just. All right, there we go. Okay. Oh, this is the hell that's my life. Facebook's up. Twitch is working. YouTube up the middle. And Talk TV 24. Facebook personal. Try Facebook public profile. That doesn't appear to be working. Oh, yep. That one's gone. One's going. All right. So Facebook seems to be going all right today. Check Yergz Radio, the page for Yergz Radio. The point about being on all of these different destinations is that it's my job to find you, not the other way around. Wherever you're going to be, I need to be able to bring you, in this case, news and whatever else is happening in the world, particularly for this show, Florida. Right, Facebook seems to be working all right. There's some pages we should be on, we can't because Media CP isn't reading it properly. But that's another thing that I'll write them about. In fact, that's part of today's to-do list. I thought I had an app for Rumble. I gotta check that one too. Apparently not. God, I don't know what my channel is there. Type in Yergz, see if that. Oh, there we go. Look at me. Okay, and yeah, August 17th. All right, we are on Rumble. I guess I should probably install the app on the phone. I know I'm rambling right now, and this is the type of thing that was supposed to be. I fixed this last week. Again. I don't know what my login is for this. I'm going to have to figure this out later. There. It's in. I know it's there. All right. Rumble's good. Yergz Radio. This is the actual radio station that didn't come on last night for my show. I'm going to do this two ways. I'm going to go through mastiff.media, the website, and test the link that's there. But I'm also going to go to the URL and test that one directly. Okay, I got a... All right, Yergz Radio's rocking. YouTubes are okay, and then the last one, Shady News. Gotta watch how loud I say that because that's my dog who's sleeping. There's that. And one more. Try directly to yergzradio.com. Play. And it's the same streaming URL. Awesome. All right. Pull the earpiece out of the ear. Just headphones for the rest of the show. Hopefully. Let me know if there is some platform that you expect to get the show. For whatever reason, can't. And we'll get to work on that. Speaking of platforms that I should be getting, I should also be on Chatter, and I'm not. I have some explaining to do there.
It's food. Let's this be.
Nope, not up the middle. Media morning show. Why is it not coming up? So there's a bunch of groups that you got to be assigned your room to. I only have one. I don't know why I keep showing up that I'm in somebody else's group. All right, tell everybody we're here. Let's see, share screen. That one. There's something else I got to figure out. We also do this to Twitter and Substack. Is my Substack on that list? Get on Twitter Spaces here. One of the things I got to do is put all of that stupid tone comes up every time you go live on Twitter Spaces because you're muted. So it forces you to check out, hey, what is this? Why is this happening? And then you go, oh, I'm muted, and you unmute yourself. As opposed to the Twitter Spaces session just simply coming on live unmuted. Why would you start a session muted anyway? Doesn't make sense. One more, and that's Substack, and that's the one that's growing. That one because it's not on my personal. It's on my other one. Though I should add this too. 5 days ago. So, all right, so I gotta. This is the thing that sucks about Substack, though. I have to add it manually each time, like Twitter Spaces and Chatter. You see, every time you go live on Substack, you got to generate a new stream key, especially if you're using an encoder. Substack. Okay. So the URL is the same. Just the stream key that you have to show and then copy. Last 704D. Save and reconnect. And then go back to Substack. Take a look. And there we are. We're live on Substack. All right. I think that's everything. I haven't been doing TikTok. I get thrown off TikTok. I get shadow banned on TikTok. TikTok doesn't love me. Not see the date and time there, so I'm going to move that down a little better. Now on Chatter Social. Now on WZQR. Welcome to one of the stations that I'm actually already on. WZQR hosts Up the Middle Sunday evenings and in replay. I also got to update the ticker. Probably take that off. So Up the Middle hosts that is on WZQR in replay. But now, starting today, we've added another affiliate, WZQR, also shows the Mastiff Media Morning Show, or broadcasts. You can find it at WZQR.FM, and then slide down. They've got multiple stations on their site, just like we do. So slide down. In fact, there was an audio issue with that earlier this morning. Slide down to WZQR Talks. It's their only talk channel. And by going there, you can hear us this morning. I'm going to try this again to see if it was me or what the deal is. All right, moment of truth. So they're download the free app. Yeah, I don't really want to do that, but so it's like there's two feeds going there or something. I don't know what. I wonder if there are other. Yep, let's put on No, I don't want to put on gospel. Country. God. Okay, there's rock. I'm playing this in my earpiece for my phone. Because I want to see if... Oh, John Cicada. I want to see if their whole station is like this. No, so that's working. I don't know why here. I'll let the station manager know. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Checking 1 2. Yeah. It's just on that station. Let's just try concert hall too. Yeah, that's like orchestra type stuff. I mean, that's kind of tough to tell because I don't know the song. Where's no, I'm not. Try country. I'll suck it up for a minute. Not a country fan. Are they even playing country? Country is off air. I'll have to tell him that. Tried Rocks. Here's Big Band. I'm listening to this in my earpiece again. You're not going to be hearing it. It's not my headphones. It's not going out. It's... Wow, Big Band is off too. Oh, nope, there we go. No, that one sounds fine. All right, I'll have to tell him that there's somehow it's pulling in 2 feeds and broadcasting 2 feeds. So don't listen to the show on WZQR today. And I did test our feed. Yeah, I did test our feed. I know that it's fine. But I should actually do that too. Gave him the feed for Shady News. Because that way, if he wants to use that feed, he can use news, at other times during the day. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in the actual stream link. It is from earlier. So, testing this last night. So let's see what... Check 1 2. Checking 1 2. Check 1 2. Checking Shady News Radio. Checking Shady News Radio. Checking Shady News Radio. Still checking Shady News Radio. God, what was I doing? Yes, I'm going to go back to try to get that on. again. ZQR Talks. Oh, it's showing that it's off air. Maybe he knows it's going on. Maybe he's working on it. Hmm? Yeah, now that particular channel at WZQR.FM is off the air. I'm going to go back to the website and start over. It's not the one. ZQR.FM. Check 1, 2. No, it's still saying off the air. Hopefully. Wrenching on that. Maybe put in the live. They're on a company called Live 365, and I told them I can do so much better by me selling them the system. Now you put in the app, but now it doesn't take you directly to the station you were trying to listen to. It says it's off the air. All right. Well, I know at least most everything's working. Oh, the hell, that's my life. And the thing is, I've got more sponsors coming too. So this would be perfect for these different stations to wrench on, whatever we got going on here that is the, I guess specifically for, WZQR, it's the first day. There's going to be kinks. I'm fine with that. Let him know that we got kicked off by his carrier, which is a company in Pittsburgh called Live 365. I tried them out when I first got into internet radio, and I couldn't go with them because, get ready, get this, it's radio. And the sales guy that I worked with knew that I was doing talk radio. Live 365 does not allow you to have DJs connect remotely from around the country or around the world. Everything has to be pre-recorded. Sportcat Jackson, when he and I were back-to-back in the afternoons, he also did a music show twice a week, I think, for the Flatline rock station or Thin Line rock station. It was for Thin Blue Line for cops, Thin Red Line for medic, fire people, Thin Green Line for military, I think yellow is like dispatchers, stuff like that. People like that. Emergency personnel. He had to record his 2-hour show that was 2 times a week and then send it to them through like Dropbox or something like that because he couldn't go live. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. There are too many other suppliers out there. And I'll tell you what, I found Media CP out of Australia. These guys are great. Definitely the best tech. I mean, there's kinks like we experienced this morning, and that happens on all the platforms. They're going to tell you it doesn't, but it does. And that's why, unlike Dare Media, the other Australian group I was working with, it was their own network like we are, they went and put in their own servers. Yeah. So you can imagine, the hair that would be standing up on my neck if that happened with me. I wouldn't have the first clue of what to do. They would kick my ass. All right. 6:56. Let's see. Oh, we got ad spots. I could start them up. Probably should, actually. I do have some ads. I'm going to play them.
Be inspired. That's the
There we
name
go.
of my
There's
podcast, and that's what I want you to be. As you listen to the folks who inspire me. I'm Jane Stahl, retired English teacher and host of the Be Inspired podcast, and co-host of the podcast Both Sides Now. Both of these shows are found on Yergz Radio. Give a listen, and I guarantee you'll be inspired.
Have you been around Boyertown lately? I mean, in like the past 20 years. At least that long ago, Jane and Paul Stahl and some of Jane's students began selling sponsorships to various Boyertown businesses. Each one purchased a bear statue, and then each was designed and painted by the sponsor and a local artist. That was some 20 years ago. Now, they are not only all over Boyertown, but all over the country. And you can track them down and hunt them, like amazing pieces of art should be. Buy the newly released book, Bear Fever, It's Catching, Chapter 1 written and edited by Diane O'Sullivan. Use the link at mastiff.media by going to www.mastiff.media/sponsors and find the Bear Fever link. That's www.mastiff.media/sponsors. In conjunction with Studio B Art Gallery, Boyertown, Pennsylvania, and Mastiff.media. Are you noticing that everyone is just so angry and pissed off? Whether it's news broadcasters or commentators, as they're called today, or just people in everyday life. Join the study of lowering the temperature. Outrage Overload with David Beckmeyer, right here on Yergz Radio, 7 days a week from 2:30 to 4. Chill Out with David Beckmeyer and Outrage Overload. Also, check out his new live show with his wife Lisa, coming soon to Yergz Radio.
All right, well, I can't use that one anymore because the live show has been on Yergz Radio. That was just last night. We did a successful handoff, one to the other. And This Week in Outrage is up the middle is now an hour. I'm doing it at 6:30 for an hour. I'll probably go back to 2 hours eventually, but I also might move it back to like sometime during the week. We'll see what happens. Maybe do it Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, something like that. I don't know. 7 o'clock. Time for some national stuff. I got an actual clock wheel going. There we go. 6 o'clock one. Let's do that.
This
Here's
message
NPR.
comes from Angie. Tackling a home project, Angie can connect you with pros who do such a good job you might ask them to be your kid's godfather. Don't do that. Just trust them to get the job done. Find a pro for your projects at Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Linda Kenyon. U.S. Envoy Jared Kushner is in Israel pushing for progress on a post-war plan for Gaza. Kushner held a rare meeting in Egypt Sunday with leaders of Hamas. NPR's Daniel Estrin has more from Tel Aviv.
An official briefed on the meeting, speaking anonymously to offer details, said the U.S. wants Hamas to start disarming and hand over control of Gaza to a new Palestinian committee. Hamas says it accepts those terms. But Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu opposes Israel withdrawing from Gaza until Hamas completely disarms. There's been no real progress on a post-war transition since major military operations ended in Gaza 10 months ago, and Netanyahu is wary of making public concessions on Gaza with Israeli elections just 10 weeks away. The official said the U.S. is hoping Israel will approve a new Palestinian police force and international stabilization force entering Gaza. Daniel Estrin, NPR News, Tel Aviv.
Lawmakers and families of U.S. service members are highlighting poor living conditions on board the long-deployed aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln, which has been at sea for more than 8 months. NPR's Chandalise Duster reports it will soon be replaced by another ship.
Arizona Senator Ruben Gallego, a Democrat and Marine veteran, told ABC on Sunday the reports of poor conditions aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln will hurt morale and cause people to leave the Navy.
Right now, the aircraft carrier is going to undergo a lot of maintenance. You're going to have problems with retention once people get back and families start meeting again. They're going to say, like, do I want to stay in the Navy? You're going to have some of the most experienced men and women. They're going to take a lot of their technical skills and walk away.
There are reports of plumbing problems, food shortages, and declining mental health among crew members on the carrier, which has been deployed to sea for more than 8 months. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has also pushed back on reports of poor conditions. Another carrier, the USS George Washington, is headed toward the Middle East to replace the ship. Chandalise Duster, NPR News.
The head of U.S. Central Command, Admiral Brad Cooper, visited the Abraham Lincoln on Saturday. He acknowledged the mental health challenges on the ship, but he also said there are fewer cases than on other ships. At least 7 people have died after heavy rains and historic flooding in Indiana. While the rains are expected to ease, relief is coming much too late for people like Frank Gounder, who owns a furniture business in Indianapolis.
I lost everything. I make and refurbish furniture, mostly wood. There was no way to keep everything out of the water.
Indianapolis officials say flooding from the White River peaked early yesterday, reaching more than 24 feet, surpassing records set in 1913. The drenching rains and destructive floods also swept through other parts of the Midwest. You're listening to NPR. Opening statements are scheduled to take place in Las Vegas today in the trial of the man accused of playing a role in the 1996 murder of Tupac Shakur. Steve Futterman reports.
Prosecutors will accuse Dwayne Davis, a former powerful gang leader, of orchestrating the killing. He will not be accused of pulling the trigger, but rather putting together all the elements that ended with Shakur being shot. The key evidence will be Davis's own words in interviews and in a 2019 memoir, where he says he supplied the gun used in the murder and was in the car that drove up alongside Shakur. The defense is expected to claim that Davis was fabricating and embellishing. Shakur's cousin, William Lassane, does not believe the explanation.
Of course, he's going to evade accountability by saying that he embellished for the last 15 years.
Davis now also claims he wasn't even in Las Vegas the night of the killing. For NPR News, I'm Steve Futterman in Las Vegas.
Actress Hayden Panettiere has died. She starred in the television series including Heroes and Nashville. Her father announced her death, but no cause was immediately released. Panettiere had a prolific career dating back to 1994, and her credits included the voice of Dot in A Bug's Life. Her role as a cheerleader with superpowers in Heroes propelled her to fame with the mantra, "Save the cheerleader, save the world." Hayden Panettiere was 36 years old. I'm Linda Kenyon, NPR News in Washington.
Have you been around Boyertown lately? I mean, in like the past 20 years. At least that long ago, Jane and Paul Stahl and some of Jane's students began selling sponsorships to various Boyertown businesses. Each one purchased a bear statue, and then each was designed and painted by the sponsor and a local artist. That was some 20 years ago. Now, they are not only all over Boyertown, but all over the country. And you can track them down and hunt them, like amazing pieces of art should be. Buy the newly released book, Bear Fever, It's Catching, Chapter 1 written and edited by Diane O'Sullivan. Use the link at mastiff.media by going to www.mastiff.media/sponsors and find the Bear Fever link. That's www.mastiff.media/sponsors. In conjunction with Studio B Art Gallery, Boyertown, Pennsylvania, and Mastiff.media.
Do you have a podcast, or maybe a live stream, or even an actual radio show? How about considering expanding your audience? Go to www.mastiff.media today and check out Mastiff.media and what we offer in talk radio. Sign up at www.mastiff.media/join. That's Mastiff, like the dog, .media. If your show's about positive talk, conservative or progressive talk, 24/7 news, sports, the LGBT community, or pretty much anything, we're interested. Again, that's www.mastiff.media/join. Run with the big dogs. Go to www.mastiff.media. Mastiff.media.
What are you doing later? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym. But not just any gym. Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Walk right up to the door. There's a QR code on the door. You can sign up right there. You've got no excuse. But not only that, their equipment is amazing. It's kept up well. It's expanded. There's stretching area. There's CrossFit. There's hardcore training. A dedicated area for stretching. Dunk tanks. Sauna. Everything you need to get that Hernando beach body or keep your Clearwater beach body. You can train with your shirt off. You can scream. You can yell. And you won't be intimidated either. Go to Momentum Fitness and Wellness on US 19 in Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates. Build the momentum at Momentum Fitness and Wellness. All right. Up next, 7:08. Statewide traffic, followed by Florida news. What do we got? Yeah, stuff happening. So let's have a look at this. Bring it over here. Zoom in, and Panhandle looks good. There's an object in the roadway in Jackson County on I-10 East at ramp to exit 158. I just saw it too. It was right there. Yeah, it's on the ramp. Make sure as you exit, it's on your left-hand side. Tallahassee not looking too good. What's going on?
Disabled vehicle in Gadsden County on I-10 West at mile marker 190. It's on the shoulder. Disabled vehicle in Leon County at I-10 West at mile marker 196. Also on the shoulder. And another disabled vehicle in Leon County on I-10 East at the ramp to exit 199. The ramp is what is blocked. Lake City looks good. Jacksonville, not too bad. A disabled vehicle down by the 7 o'clock position may have actually been cleared. Disabled vehicle in Duval County on State Route 9B south before between E-Town and Phillips. The right shoulder's blocked. Some congestion on Duval County on I-295 east north. That's down at the 5 o'clock position on the outer loop from I-95 to the US 1 Phillips Highway. That's been updated recently and is still going. Crash in Duval County on State Route 202 and Butler Boulevard west before between Hodges Boulevard and Kernan Boulevard. It's in the right lane. And a backup there caused with it. Florida news. A woman was charged in Riverview with first-degree murder after authorities said she supplied drugs containing fentanyl and carfentanil to a 36-year-old woman who died from an overdose. Katrina Brodus, 39, was arrested Wednesday on a charge of first-degree murder resulting from the unlawful distribution of a controlled substance, according to Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. The investigation began after Caitlin Thal, 36, was found dead inside a vehicle in the 12,000 block of Horseshoe Bend in Lithia in October. Authorities said drug paraphernalia and suspected narcotics were found around her. According to investigators, Thal met with Brodus the night before her death and obtained fentanyl from her, according to the sheriff's office. Testing of the drugs recovered at the scene detected xylazine, carfentanil, cocaine, and fentanyl. Toxicology testing found that the amount of fentanyl and the amount of carfentanil in Thal's body was 18 times a lethal dose. Wow. Wow. 18 times. Like, what? Wow. I don't even understand how you. Wow. Oh. Okay. I mean, wow. Oh. Hillsborough teacher accused of sending inappropriate messages to a former student. A Memorial Middle School teacher is facing charges of child sexual abuse and communications charges. Christian Snyder, 31, a teacher at Memorial Middle School, faces 2 counts of solicitation or possession of child sexual abuse material and 1 count of unlawful use of a two-way communication device. The teacher was arrested Friday after an investigator accused him of exchanging inappropriate messages with a former teenage student for years. Snyder, 31, a teacher at Memorial Middle School, faces 2 counts of solicitation and possession of child sexual abuse material and 1 count of unlawful use of a two-way communication device. Authorities began investigating Schneider last month and learned he had been sending inappropriate messages to a former student from Franklin Middle School. Schneider told deputies the inappropriate communication with the student had been occurring since 2023. The sheriff's office did not release additional information, not about the student or the nature of the alleged communications. Teachers hold a position of trust that comes with enormous responsibility, Sheriff Chad Chronister said. When that trust is exploited, it's not just a crime. It's a violation of everything our schools are supposed to stand for. Authorities said the investigation is ongoing. And let me get another one here. See what's happening up in the Capitol in Tallahassee. Leon County Libraries open as cooling stations Monday, following extreme heat warning. Leon County is opening all public libraries as cooling stations today, giving Tallahassee area residents air-conditioned space. So I've been stuttering recently, and it's actually because of some meds that I'm on. My brain is going faster than my mouth does, believe it or not. Giving Tallahassee area residents air-conditioned space, water, and restrooms during an extreme heat warning. 6 branches that are normally closed will operate from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., while the Leroy Collins Main Library keeps its regular hours. County leaders urge neighbors to check on one another and use these facilities if they need relief. Celebration of life for civil rights activist Reverend Derek Steele. Mourners in Tallahassee gathered to celebrate the life of Reverend Derek Steele, a longtime civil rights advocate and son of C.K. Steele. Family, friends, and community members honored his legacy of showing up for others after his death from prostate cancer. Moe's Southwest Grill. Oh, I like this place. Southwest Grill closes 16 stores after bankruptcy. 2 Moe's Southwest Grill locations in Tallahassee, Allapache Parkway and Thomasville Road, closed abruptly after the franchise filed for Chapter 11. I can't read either. Several other Florida and out-of-state Moe's have also shut down, but 3 Tallahassee restaurants on West Tennessee Street, Mahan Drive, and Bannerman Road remain open as the company restructures finances. Go to Jacksonville. Deadly stabbing in Ocean Way. Yeah. Jacksonville police arrest a man for a fatal stabbing of brother in Ocean Way. They say a man was arrested Sunday in connection with his brother's fatal stabbing at a home in Ocean Way area off Davis Road. Officers found 30-year-old Ryan Davis critically injured Saturday night. He later died at a local hospital. Detectives quickly identified 38-year-old Eric Mincy as the suspect, and he is now being held in Duval County on a murder charge. Downtown Jacksonville's historic district, 11 East, and the Carling apartment towers have been sold by Jacksonville-based Vestcor to Indiana's Bikovic Management Group, which is rapidly expanding its footprint around Laura Street. Bikovic already owns the residences at Barnett and the Laura Street Trio, and says it plans adaptive reuse and the redevelopment that could reshape this key stretch of the urban core. Police seek the suspect after a man was found dead with multiple gunshot wounds in vacant Brentwood apartment. The police are investigating after a man was found shot multiple times inside a condemned vacant apartment in Brentwood in North Jacksonville late Sunday morning. Detectives with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office Homicide and Crime Scene units are working the case and asked anyone with information to contact JSO or Crime Stoppers to help identify who is responsible. Places in Miami-Dade and Jacksonville sold Saturday's
lottery major draw hits. Jacksonville lottery players might want to check their Fantasy 5 tickets. A winning quick pick worth about $61,000 was sold at the Murphy Express on 103rd Street. Winners must claim big prizes at a Florida Lottery district office, and Jacksonville's office on Phillips Highway is open weekdays with appointments optional. Story start up now. Motorcyclist in his mid-20s died after an SUV turned into his path on North Main Street near 16th Street in Jacksonville Saturday, closing the road for hours. Police say the intersection has no traffic signal, and the SUV driver stayed at the scene. This marks Jacksonville's 113th traffic death of the year, and 13th involving a motorcycle. A young mother's killing went unsolved for nearly 40 years. Then the phone rang. A decades-old Jacksonville homicide has led to an arrest after a Middleburg man contacted authorities, saying he was responsible for the 1987 killing of young mother Teresa Missy Ellison. Jacksonville Sheriff's Office cold case detectives and Project Cold Case efforts helped revive the investigation, giving Ellison's family new hope for justice, even as they stress that an arrest is only the beginning of the healing. Minutes. Let's see what's happening in Daytona Beach. Florida man strikes again. Founder of the Halifax Journal. Today's News Journal. What about him? Daytona Beach readers got to look back at Florida man, energetic newspaper man who launched the Halifax Journal in 1883, the forerunner of today's News Journal. His inventive first issue, printed on cloth after a newsprint delay, helped establish journalism in early Daytona, and the paper now invites locals to share old photos from Volusia and Flagler's past. Spring Hill's Holland contributes scoreless inning as Daytona wins series over Palm Beach. Daytona Beach baseball fans saw the Tortugas cap a strong home series with a 12-2 win over Palm Beach, highlighted by a scoreless eighth inning from former Spring Hill standout Hunter Holland. Holland needed just 8 pitches to retire the side, helping Daytona clinch the series 5-2 before heading to Tampa for their next matchup. That's got to be one of the minor leagues that's here in Florida. I still want to go see one of those games. I got to do that one night. What else we got here? Anything coming up on for some ad spots in a second? A high-quality recording of Dead Poets Society, Welcome to Rockville, set at Daytona International Speedway, is now streaming online, giving Daytona Beach rock fans a chance to relive May's festival performance. The release comes as the band gears up to drop their new album, Monarch, in October, keeping the city's big rock festival moment in the spotlight a little longer. That's Florida News. We'll be back with more of that at 7:31. We'll be back with weather and tides right after this. Have you been around Boyertown lately? I mean, in like the past 20 years. At least that long ago, Jane and Paul Stahl and some of Jane's students began selling sponsorships to various Boyertown businesses. Each one purchased a bear statue, and then each was designed and painted by the sponsor and a local artist. That was some 20 years ago. Now, they are not only all over Boyertown, but all over the country. And you can track them down and hunt them, like amazing pieces of art should be. Buy the newly released book, Bear Fever, It's Catching. Chapter 1 written and edited by Diane O'Sullivan. Use the link at mastiff.media by going to www.mastiff.media/sponsors and find the Bear Fever link. That's www.mastiff.media/sponsors in conjunction with Studio B Art Gallery, Boyertown, Pennsylvania, and mastiff.media.
Do you have a podcast, or maybe a live stream, or even an actual radio show? How about considering expanding your audience? Go to www.mastiff.media today and check out mastiff.media and what we offer in talk radio. Sign up at www.mastiff.media/join. That's Mastiff, like the dog, .media. If your show's about positive talk, conservative or progressive talk, 24/7 news, sports, the LGBT community, or pretty much anything, we're interested. Again, that's www.mastiff.media/join. Run with the big dogs. Go to www.mastiff.media. Mastiff.media.
What are you doing later? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym, but not just any gym. Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Walk right up to the door. There's a QR code on the door. You can sign up right there. You've got no excuse. But not only that, their equipment is amazing. It's kept up well. It's expanded. There's stretching area. There's CrossFit. There's hardcore training. A dedicated area for stretching, dunk tanks, sauna. Everything you need to get that Hernando beach body or keep your Clearwater beach body. You can train with your shirt off, you can scream, you can yell, and you won't be intimidated either. Go to Momentum Fitness and Wellness on US 19 in Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates. Build the momentum at Momentum Fitness and Wellness. All right. It's weather time. Give me a second here. Set this up. Right now in Pensacola, it's 81 degrees. It's going to be sunny today. High of 94. Low tide's going to be 12:52. Panama City Beach, it's 85. Sunny, high of 93. Low tide at 10:19. Cedar Key, it's 86. Cloudy with a high of 90. Low tide is at 12:57. Hernando Beach is 79 degrees. High of 90 today. It's going to be cloudy. Low tide 12:55. Hudson Creek coming. Hudson Creek, Hudson Beach. It's 84 degrees. High of 90. Cloudy. Low tide at 10:55 a.m. Newport Richey, 84 degrees and sunny. High of 90. Low tide at 11:45 a.m. Clearwater Beach is 86 degrees and sunny. High of 90. Low tide at 9:31. Safety Harbor, 81 degrees. High of 91. Sunny. Low tide 1:51 p.m. In Manatee, it's 84 degrees. It'll be clear today. High of 92. Low tide is 11:21 a.m. Sarasota is 79 right now. It's sunny. High of 92. Low tide at 11:12 a.m. And that's the wrong one. There we go. Sarasota, Fort Myers. It's 82 degrees and sunny. High of 96. Low tide will be at 2:20 p.m. And that's it. We're going to be adding some of the keys in a little bit, like Key West and so on, to start expanding. We do, how far up do we go? We do Pensacola, we do Panama City, all right, and Cedar Keys and the Big Bend. I don't do
the Atlantic coast, does it really change that much on the Atlantic? I got to look that up. Because here, because the Gulf of Mexico is a puddle by comparison, for that reason, it doesn't take as much water to show a noticeable change in the tides. Tides here change by like 4 feet from low to high, especially during the summer. So, yeah. Anyway. Let's see. What do we got next? Florida news. Yeah. Back to some more Florida news. And we'll go over some of the things we talked about. Florida man, founder of the Halifax Journal, today's news journal. Daytona Beach readers got to look back at Florida man. Well, wait a minute. I'm reading that wrong. Florian. Oh, my God. I fell for it. So, Florida man has become this mythical character because that's what's often reported in the news. Florida man found dead on highway. Oh, no, Florida man's dead. But then Florida man rescues dog from tree. It's just how they describe an unidentified person. Well, Florian man with 2 N's, Florian without a D, is the founder of the Halifax Journal, which is today's news journal. Daytona Beach readers got to look back at Florian Mann, the energetic newspaper man who launched the Halifax Journal in 1883, the forerunner of today's news journal. His inventive first issue, printed on cloth after a newsprint delay, helped establish journalism in early Daytona, and the paper now invites locals to share old photos from Volusia and Flagler's past. Dead Poets Society 2026, Welcome to Rockville, set now streaming. A high-quality recording of Dead Poets Society, not the movie, the rock band. And their set, Welcome to Rockville, at Daytona International Speedway, is now streaming online, giving Daytona Beach rock fans a chance to relive May's festival performance. The release comes as the band gears up to drop their new album, Monarch, in October, keeping the city's big rock festival moment in the spotlight a little longer. Daytona Beach baseball fans saw the Tortugas cap a strong home series with a 12-2 win over Palm Beach. This highlighted by a scoreless 8th inning from former Spring Hill standout Hunter Hollan. Hollan needed just 8 pitches to retire the side, helping Daytona clinch the series 5-2 before heading to Tampa for their next matchup. A Riverview woman has been charged with first-degree murder after authorities said she supplied drugs containing fentanyl and carfentanil to a 36-year-old woman who later died from an overdose. Katrina Brodus, 39, was arrested Wednesday on a charge of first-degree murder resulting from the unlawful distribution of a controlled substance, according to the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. The investigation began after Caitlin Thal, 36, was found dead inside a vehicle in the 12,000 block of Horseshoe Bend Drive in Lithia in October. Authorities said drug paraphernalia and suspected narcotics were found around her. According to investigators, Thal met with Brodus the night before her death and obtained fentanyl from her, according to the sheriff's office. Testing of drugs recovered at the scene detected xylazine, carfentanil, cocaine, and fentanyl. Toxicology testing around the amount of fentanyl and carfentanil in Thal's blood was 18 times a lethal dose. Wow. A Hillsborough teacher was arrested Friday after investigators accused him of exchanging inappropriate messages with a former teenage student for years. Christian Snyder, 31, a teacher at Memorial Middle School, faces 2 counts of solicitation or possession of child sexual abuse material and 1 count of unlawful use of a two-way communication device. Authorities began investigating Schneider last month and learned he had been sending inappropriate messages to a former student from Franklin Middle School. Schneider told deputies the inappropriate communication came with the student had been occurring since 2023. The sheriff's office did not release additional information about the student or the nature of the alleged communications. Jacksonville police arrested a man for a fatal stabbing of his brother in Ocean Way. They say the man arrested Sunday in connection with his brother's fatal stabbing at a home in Ocean Way area off Davis Road. Officers found 30-year-old Ryan Daniels critically injured Saturday evening. He later died at a local hospital. Detectives quickly identified 38-year-old Eric Mincy as the suspect. He's now being held in DeVille County on a murder charge. Downtown Jacksonville's historic 11 East and the Carling apartment towers have been sold by Jacksonville-based Vestcor to Indiana's Bikovic Management Group, which is rapidly expanding its footprint around Laura Street. Bikovic already owns the residences at Barnett and the Laura Street Trio and says it plans adaptive reuse and redevelopment that could reshape this key stretch of the urban core. Police are investigating after a man was found shot multiple times inside a condemned vacant apartment in Brentwood in North Jacksonville late Sunday morning. Detectives with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office homicide and crime scene units are working the case, asking anyone with information to contact JSO or Crime Stoppers to help identify who is responsible. Florida News. We'll be back with traffic after this.
Have you been around Boyertown lately? I mean, in like the past 20 years. At least that long ago, Jane and Paul Stahl and some of Jane's students began selling sponsorships to various Boyertown businesses. Each one purchased a bear statue, and then each was designed and painted by the sponsor and a local artist. That was some 20 years ago. Now, they are not only all over Boyertown, but all over the country. And you can track them down and hunt them, like amazing pieces of art should be. Buy the newly released book, Bear Fever, It's Catching, Chapter 1 written and edited by Diane O'Sullivan. Use the link at mastiff.media by going to www.mastiff.media/sponsors and find the Bear Fever link. That's www.mastiff.media/sponsors. In conjunction with Studio B Art Gallery, Boyertown, Pennsylvania, and Mastiff.media.
Do you have a podcast, or maybe a live stream, or even an actual radio show? How about considering expanding your audience? Go to www.mastiff.media today and check out Mastiff.media and what we offer in talk radio. Sign up at www.mastiff.media/join. That's Mastiff, like the dog, .media. If your show's about positive talk, conservative or progressive talk, 24/7 news, sports, the LGBT community, or pretty much anything, we're interested. Again, that's www.mastiff.media/join. Run with the big dogs. Go to www.mastiff.media. Mastiff.media.
What are you doing later? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym. But not just any gym. Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Walk right up to the door. There's a QR code on the door. You can sign up right there. You've got no excuse. But not only that, their equipment is amazing. It's kept up well. It's expanded. There's stretching area. There's CrossFit. There's hardcore training. A dedicated area for stretching. Dunk tanks. Sauna. Everything you need to get that Hernando beach body or keep your Clearwater beach body. You can train with your shirt off, you can scream, you can yell, and you won't be intimidated either. Go to Momentum Fitness and Wellness on US 19 in Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates. Build the momentum at Momentum Fitness and Wellness. All right, time for traffic. We finished up in Jacksonville. Get down some of the coast. On the coast looks good. I-4 coming inbound towards Orlando, and Orlando itself, not so much. There's a disabled vehicle in Volusia County on I-4 West before mile marker 123. The right shoulder's blocked. There's a disabled vehicle in Volusia County on I-4 West before mile marker 116 in Deland, also on the shoulder. Congestion in Volusia County on I-4 West going into Orlando before mile marker 111 and Saxon Boulevard to mile marker 107. Lots of other congestion in around the downtown of Orlando and along I-4. There is a disabled vehicle in Orange County on State Route 408 East at mile marker 20 in Ruse Road. Got another one on Good Homes Road northbound at East-West Expressway. And down 4, congestion on 4 in Orange County at I-4 East. That's also heading into Orlando from the south before mile marker 66 to 69. Also on I-4 East, mile marker 58, 532 to mile marker 62, World Drive. Congestion on 27 North right before 4 for Davenport Boulevard, Sanders Road to Ridgewood Lakes Boulevard. The rest of 4 doesn't look too bad. There is the usual stop and go from Route 39 all the way into Tampa. There's an incident, unknown what, in Hillsborough County on I-4 East at the ramp to Park Road. Be careful there. Tampa doesn't look too bad. Some congestion at the usual spots. Tolling begins April 22nd on I-275 crossing Old Tampa Bay. April 22nd on I-275 crossing Tampa Bay. A repaving project starts on Route 60 crossing Old Tampa Bay. At Ben Davis Beach to Bayport Drive. That is immediate. All right, into some more Florida news. Motorcyclist died after a collision with an SUV on North Main Street, Jacksonville. Motorcyclist in his mid-20s died after an SUV turned into his path on North Main Street near 16th Street in Jacksonville Saturday night, closing the road for hours. Police say the intersection has no traffic signal, and the SUV driver stayed at the scene. This marks Jacksonville's 113th traffic death of the year and 13th involving a motorcycle. Wow, 100 others, though. Wonder how all those happened. A young mother's killing went unsolved for nearly 40 years. Then the phone rang. A decades-old Jacksonville homicide has led to an arrest after a Middleburg man contacted authorities, saying he was responsible for the 1987 killing of a young mother, Melissa Missy Ellison. Jacksonville Sheriff's Office told cold case detectives and Project Cold Case efforts helped revive the investigation, giving Ellison's family new hope for justice after they stress that an arrest is only the beginning of the healing. Sporting Jacks women scored dramatic winner in soccer opener. Jacksonville's new women's pro soccer team, Sporting Jacks, opened its Gainbridge Super League season with a dramatic 89th minute winner from Bailey DeSmit against Fort Lauderdale United. The club now turns to its first ever home match on Saturday, August 22nd at 7 p.m. at UNF's Hodges Stadium, giving local fans an immediate chance to see the squad in person. We did a lot of Jacksonville. Let's try to mix it up here. Hillsborough County middle school teacher was arrested Friday after investigators accused him of exchanging inappropriate messages with a former teenage student. Christian Snyder, 31, teacher at Memorial Medical School, faces 2 counts of solicitation for possession of a child sexual abuse material and 1 count of unlawful use of a two-way communication device. Authorities began investigating Schneider last month and learned he had been sending inappropriate messages to a former student from Franklin Middle School. Schneider told deputies the inappropriate communication came with the student had been occurring since 2023. The sheriff's office did not release additional information. A Riverview woman has been charged with first-degree murder after authorities said she supplied drugs containing fentanyl and carfentanil to a 36-year-old woman who later died of an overdose. Katrina Brodus, 39, was arrested Wednesday on a charge of first-degree murder resulting from the unlawful distribution of a controlled substance, according to the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. The investigation began after Caitlin Thau, 36, was found dead inside a vehicle in the 12,000 block of Horseshoe Bend in Lithia. Authorities said drug paraphernalia and suspected narcotics were found around her. According to investigators, Thau met with Brodus the night before and obtained fentanyl from her. Testing of the drugs recovered at the scene detected xylazine, carfentanil, cocaine, and fentanyl. Here's the part, people. Listen to this one. Toxicology reports found the amount of fentanyl and carfentanil in Thau's bloodline was 18 times a lethal dose. Wow. 18 times. Florian Mann, the founder of Halifax Journal, today's news journal. Daytona Beach readers got to look back at Florian Mann, not Florida Man, Florian Mann, the energetic newspaper man who launched the Halifax Journal in 1883, the forerunner of today's news journal. His inventive first issue, printed on cloth after a newsprint delay, helped establish journalism in early Daytona. The paper now invites locals to share old photos from Volusia and Flagler's past. Dead Poets Society 2026 Welcome to Rockville, now streaming. A high-quality recording of Dead Poets Society Welcome to Rockville at Daytona International Speedway is now streaming online, giving Daytona Beach rock fans a chance to relive May's festival performance. The release comes as the band gears up to drop their new album, Monarch, in October, keeping the city's big festival in the spotlight a little longer. We got national news coming up right after this. Have you been around Boyertown lately? I mean, in like the past 20 years. At least that long ago, Jane and Paul Stahl and some of Jane's students began selling sponsorships to various Boyertown businesses. Each one purchased a bear statue, and then each was designed and painted by the sponsor and a local artist. That was some 20 years ago. Now, they are not only all over Boyertown, but all over the country. And you can track them down and hunt them, like amazing pieces of art should be. Buy the newly released book, Bear Fever, It's Catching, Chapter 1 written and edited by Diane O'Sullivan. Use the link at mastiff.media by going to www.mastiff.media/sponsors and find the Bear Fever link. That's www.mastiff.media/sponsors in conjunction with Studio B Art Gallery, Boyertown, Pennsylvania, and Mastiff.media.
Do you have a podcast, or maybe a live stream, or even an actual radio show? How about considering expanding your audience? Go to www.mastiff.media today and check out Mastiff.media and what we offer in talk radio. Sign up at www.mastiff.media/join. That's Mastiff, like the dog, .media. If your show's about positive talk, conservative or progressive talk, 24/7 news, sports, the LGBT community, or pretty much anything, we're interested. Again, that's www.mastiff.media/join. Run with the big dogs. Go to www.mastiff.media. Mastiff.media.
What are you doing later? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym, but not just any gym. Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Walk right up to the door. There's a QR code on the door. You can sign up right there. You've got no excuse. But not only that, their equipment is amazing. It's kept up well. It's expanded. There's stretching area. There's CrossFit. There's hardcore training. A dedicated area for stretching, dunk tanks, sauna, everything you need to get that Hernando beach body or keep your Clearwater beach body. You can train with your shirt off, you can scream, you can yell, and you won't be intimidated either. Go to Momentum Fitness and Wellness on US 19 in Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates. Build the momentum at Momentum Fitness and Wellness.
The head of Central Command visited the USS Lincoln and called its deployment one of the most intense in decades.
Another ship is on its way to relieve the Lincoln amid reports of poor living conditions on board.
I'm Sasha Pfeiffer, that's Michelle Martin, and this is Up First from NPR News. Ukraine launched one of its largest aerial attacks on Russia since the war began. More than 800 drones were launched, and at least 20 people were killed as both sides exchanged fire. How are Russians feeling as the war grinds on?
And President Trump's Middle East negotiator and son-in-law Jared Kushner is in Israel for talks on the future of Gaza. It comes after a rare meeting with Hamas in Egypt. Israel already rejected the latest U.S.-backed peace plan. We look at where the negotiations stand. Stay with us. We'll give you news you need to start your day.
This message comes from Mattress Firm. Sharing a bed doesn't always mean sharing the same sleep preferences. If you and your partner have different sleep needs, Mattress Firm can help. Their sleep experts are trained to match you with a customizable sleep solution, like the Tempur-Pedic Split King Sleep System. Mix and match comfort levels in your ideal sleep positions so you both sleep better together. And right now, you can get a $300 instant gift towards a Tempur-Pedic Total Sleep Solution with mattress purchase. They make sleep easy. This message comes from Progressive Insurance. You're listening to this podcast, so you've got a curious mind. Did you know that drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average? Visit Progressive.com and get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who save with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
The USS Washington is on its way to the Middle East to relieve the USS Lincoln.
The Lincoln has been at the center of concerns over mental health issues as well as lack of fresh food and supplies. And NPR is learning that the supply chain issues aren't limited to just that carrier.
To hear more about this, we have reporter Steve Walsh with member station WHRO in Norfolk. Good morning, Steve.
Morning, Michelle.
So there have been reports about families highlighting problems on board the USS Lincoln. We've heard a lot of those stories from you. Democratic lawmakers are demanding answers. How is the Trump administration responding?
This has been a grueling deployment. USS Abraham Lincoln arrived in January before the war with Iran started, and sailors have been on the ship since the war began. The head of Central Command, Admiral Brad Cooper, wrapped up a tour of the region Saturday, which included a visit to USS Lincoln. He praised the sacrifice of the sailors. Cooper is quoted as saying, "History will record this deployment as one of the most operationally intense and consequential of the modern era." The administration has also been pushing back against reports from families who say the crews are under strain, including reports of sailors jumping overboard. Asked on Friday if the deployment had gone on too long, President Trump said, "No, not nearly long enough."
Steve, what have you heard from sailors and their families about these comments?
So not every sailor has the same reaction. I talked to the former acting head of Force Resiliency for the Navy, a Navy veteran. Andrea Goldstein was in charge when the Navy was dealing with the rash of suicides in 2022 and 2023. She says the changes the Navy made started with creating a healthy command climate on the ships.
It's not one comment. It's creating an ambient environment of disrespect.
Dismissing sailors' concerns can actually make their situation worse. She says sailors may not recognize the impact of their constant stress until months after their deployment finally is over.
So can you just tell us a bit more about what conditions are like on these Navy ships in the Middle East right now, recognizing that many Americans at this point in our history don't have a personal connection to military service. So tell us what you can about it.
Right. So the problems with logistics are not confined to USS Lincoln. Supply lines have been strained since the beginning of the war. I talked with Sam Howard, a former Navy captain who lives in Virginia Beach. His son was on one of the ships in the USS Tripoli Amphibious Ready Group, which carries sailors and Marines. His son told him they quickly ran low on hygiene products and other supplies. The crew returned to their home port in Japan in late July, but they still haven't received all of their mail and care packages. As a former captain, Howard says he understands how quickly fatigue can set in.
I asked him very specifically about watch rotation and not having any port visits. And the comment that he made was, not knowing when you're going to get a break. It was really among the toughest things that he experienced.
And now the Abraham Lincoln has been out to sea for more than 260 days. Do we know when they will be back?
So USS George Washington is now on its way to relieve USS Lincoln with their 5,000 sailors. It's hard to pinpoint when the Washington will arrive. Normally, you would expect both carriers to remain in the region for a week or so, but a Navy official who wasn't authorized to speak publicly told me that there is no standard handoff period. So the Lincoln could leave rather quickly once USS Washington arrives in the region.
That's Steve Walsh with WHRO in Norfolk. Steve, thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Fighting between Russia and Ukraine continues with at least 20 people killed and dozens more injured in air attacks from both sides that stretched from the weekend to this morning.
That included the largest single-day Ukrainian attack on Russia to date. It's 5 years into the conflict, and the two countries appear locked in a war of attrition with no end in sight.
Joining us to tell us more about this is NPR's Charles Maines in Moscow. Good morning, Charles.
Good morning, Michelle.
So first of all, tell us about this massive Ukrainian attack.
Well, Russia's defense ministry says more than 800 drones were fired into more than several regions of Russia on Sunday, the vast majority of which were targeting Moscow. That said, most of the deaths occurred closer to the Ukrainian border, including in Rostov in the south, where 5 people died Sunday. This morning, another 6 people were killed in Belgorod region. More generally, these attacks fit into a pattern of Ukraine hitting, or attempting to hit anyway, not only military installations, but also softer targets, energy and logistics hubs to, as Kiev puts it, bring the war home to Russians.
And how is that being felt in real terms?
Well, Ukraine struck another warehouse of Russia's largest online retailer, a company called Wild Berries, which is part of a wider campaign of interrupting business supply chains. Ukraine continues to strike oil facilities, which, by the way, has caused the return of gas shortages we saw earlier in the summer. There are lines right now, for example, at a gas station just down the street from me. And Ukraine is going after defense-adjacent industries, factories that produce parts or products that might in some way contribute or help fund the Russian military. And all of this has come with a growing number of civilian casualties.
And how has Russia responded?
Well, by escalating, which of course is also killing civilians, including 7 on Sunday, Russia can essentially strike Ukraine at will with ballistic missiles now that Ukraine is out of the U.S. Patriot missiles that had provided some protection, as Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has openly admitted. Moreover, Russia is increasingly targeting Ukrainian grain stores, a key export for Ukraine, and that's really brought shipping out of port cities like Odessa to a standstill and raised concerns of a repeat of global grain shortages that we saw early in the war as a result.
So Russia pounding Ukraine, that's been a story throughout this war. But Ukraine hitting back and hitting back effectively is relatively new. Now, we hear from our colleagues in Kyiv that the goal is to force Russia into peace negotiations. Do you have any sense that that's working?
Well, politically, no. The Kremlin continues to insist this war is being won. In fact, President Vladimir Putin was recently on television talking about how Russians had victory in their DNA. But there's no question that what Ukraine euphemistically calls long-range sanctions have brought the war home to Russians in new ways, and that's adding to exhaustion from more than 4 years of war, repression, and sanctions.
And so, of course, they're exhausted by war, but is there any way to express that, given the repression that you have reported on so often and that you're mentioning now?
Well, we have parliamentary elections coming up in September, and some form of opposition to the war would seem a potent political issue, but it's not on the ballot. The lone openly pro-peace party, a party called Yabloko, was barred from participating by the Supreme Court earlier this month, even as its supporters gathered outside. Meanwhile, one of the party's liberal stalwarts, a man by the name of Lev Schlossberg, is widely expected to be convicted and sentenced to a long prison term today. The formal charge against Schlossberg is denigrating the Russian army, although his supporters would say he's being punished for his pacifism, and that his case is just another version of the same message that anti-war views won't be tolerated.
That is NPR's Charles Maines in Moscow. Charles, thank you.
Thank you.
The president's envoy and son-in-law, Jared Kushner, held a rare meeting with leaders of Hamas in Egypt on Sunday.
Today, Kushner is in Israel to meet with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Kushner is trying to get closer to achieving President Trump's plan for a post-war Gaza. The U.S. and Hamas back the plan. Israel does not.
NPR's Daniel Estrin is with us now from Tel Aviv. Good morning, Daniel.
Good morning, Michelle.
First of all, just how unusual was it that any high-level representative of the U.S. met directly with Hamas leaders?
It is rare. Remember, the U.S. labels Hamas a terrorist group, but Jared Kushner did meet Hamas one time before. That was 10 months ago, and that meeting helped seal the deal on the Gaza ceasefire agreement. Since then, though, not much progress has happened at all on a post-war transition for Gaza.
Okay, so do we have any sense of what came out of this meeting?
We have not seen any evidence of a real breakthrough. I spoke with an official briefed on the meeting who spoke anonymously to divulge some details. And what I learned is that the U.S. wants Hamas to stop military activities and to start disarming. They want Hamas to hand over control of Gaza to a new Palestinian committee. And Hamas affirmed that it is willing to do that. But the reality here, Michelle, is that it's been 10 months since the ceasefire was declared, and there's been no tangible progress on the ground in Gaza. It took months just for Trump's Board of Peace to come up with a formal disarmament plan, and then it took many more months for Hamas to agree to it. And so now the U.S. is pushing this new 15-point roadmap for Hamas to disarm and for Israel to withdraw. And Israel says it will not withdraw from Gaza until Hamas fully disarms. And a big group of Mideast countries is now saying that Israel is the one to blame for obstructing peace efforts. Those group of countries include the ceasefire mediators themselves, Qatar and Egypt. So Kushner is now in Israel. He's meeting Netanyahu to discuss his objections to the plan.
And so given Israel's objections, what do you expect to be coming out of this meeting between Kushner and Netanyahu?
Really, the main sticking point here is that Israel is 10 weeks away from elections, and Netanyahu could lose power. And Kushner knows that Netanyahu does not want Israelis to think he's giving any concessions to Hamas. That would be very unpopular. His far-right security minister even said recently that Israel should be killing 30 to 40 people every night in Gaza. So Netanyahu is under pressure, and if he would agree to any progress in Gaza, it would be the kind of things that could be done behind the scenes. The official I spoke to said Kushner wants Israel to authorize a new Gaza police force to get training. It wants Israel to allow an international stabilization force to enter Gaza. But here, Israel has its own objections. They may seem subtle, but these are important to Israel. A person briefed on this told me Israel doesn't trust this plan for a Palestinian committee to take over Hamas's weapons. Israel wants more international oversight there. So Kushner's challenge here really is to find anything Israel is willing to do with just 10 weeks to go before Israeli elections.
That is NPR's Daniel Estrin in Tel Aviv. Daniel, thank you.
You're welcome.
And before we go, don't forget to listen to the Up First Sunday story. 2 decades ago, beavers were reintroduced to Britain. The rodents have become little climate warriors.
We haven't seen this in the UK for 400 years. This is a beaver-created wetland.
From the wilds of Scotland to the tube stations of London, how beavers are transforming the British landscape. Listen now to the Sunday story right here in the Up First podcast from NPR.
And that's Up First for Monday, August 17th. I'm Sasha Pfeiffer.
And I'm Michelle Martin. Today's episode of Up First was edited by Brett Neely, Tina Kraya, Miguel Macias, Mohamed El Vardisi, and Adriana Gallardo. It was produced by Ziad Butch and Nia Dumas. Our director is Christopher Thomas. We get engineering support from Nisha Highness, and our technical director is Eowyn Fain. We hope you'll join us again tomorrow.
This message comes from Rosetta Stone, offering an alternative approach to language learning. Without relying on traditional memorization, the platform guides users to intuitively think in a second language. More information at rosettastone.com.
Want to hear this podcast without sponsor breaks? Amazon.
Have you been around Boyertown lately? I mean, in like the past 20 years. At least that long ago, Jane and Paul Stahl and some of Jane's students began selling sponsorships to various Boyertown businesses. Each one purchased a bear statue, and then each was designed and painted by the sponsor and a local artist. That was some 20 years ago. Now, they are not only all over Boyertown, but all over the country. And you can track them down and hunt them, like amazing pieces of art should be. Buy the newly released book, Bear Fever, It's Catching. Chapter 1 written and edited by Diane O'Sullivan. Use the link at mastiff.media by going to www.mastiff.media/sponsors and find the Bear Fever link. That's www.mastiff.media/sponsors in conjunction with Studio B Art Gallery, Boyertown, Pennsylvania, and mastiff.media.
Do you have a podcast, or maybe a live stream, or even an actual radio show? How about considering expanding your audience? Go to www.mastiff.media today and check out mastiff.media and what we offer in talk radio. Sign up at www.mastiff.media/join. That's Mastiff, like the dog, .media. If your show's about positive talk, conservative or progressive talk, 24/7 news, sports, the LGBT community, or pretty much anything, we're interested. Again, that's www.mastiff.media/join. Run with the big dogs. Go to www.mastiff.media. Mastiff.media.
What are you doing later? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym, but not just any gym. Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Walk right up to the door. There's a QR code on the door. You can sign up right there. You've got no excuse. But not only that, their equipment is amazing. It's kept up well. It's expanded. There's stretching area. There's CrossFit. There's hardcore training. A dedicated area for stretching, dunk tanks, sauna, everything you need to get that Hernando beach body or keep your Clearwater beach body. You can train with your shirt off, you can scream, you can yell, and you won't be intimidated either. Go to Momentum Fitness and Wellness on US 19 in Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates. Build the momentum
at Momentum Fitness and Wellness. All right. Time for there we go. Here's the traffic. We get those incidents still happening. Tolls starting on 275, crossing Old Tampa Bay, and repaving on 60. This looks new. Crash in Hillsborough County on I-4 East before I-75. The two right lanes are blocked. That's new. There's an incident in Hillsborough County on I-4 East at the ramp to Park Road. No further information. Still going on. That can't be. From the 14th. And it's still ongoing? I doubt that. Coming down through South Tampa Bay. 75, the usual slowing at Big Bend Road. 275 coming over the entrance to the Tampa Bay looks good. Congestion in Bradenton, right around 64 and 19. There's an incident. Traffic lights working incorrectly in Sarasota County on State Route 789 North at Sunset Drive. That's since 6:10 this morning. Crash on US 41 northbound at 41 bypass. All lanes closed. That's from 4:20 this morning. It was last updated at 6:41. It's causing congestion on 75. People are trying to find routes around it. Sarasota County I-75 North between mile marker 185 to exit 193 and Jacaranda Boulevard. Going across the state on 60, 98, 70, and 80 all look good, except for 80 over by Fort Myers. There's a multi-vehicle crash in Lee County on State Route 80 and Palm Beach Boulevard East before Buckingham Road. The right lane is blocked there. Congestion from that on 80 and Palm Beach Boulevard West from before Parkview Drive to State Route 31. 75 across the south is good. 41 is good. Usual congestion in downtown of Fort Lauderdale and Miami. What's that one? Bridge work on Northwest 48th Street in both directions from Northwest 3rd Avenue to Northeast 2nd Terrace. All lanes will be closed. It starts on August 4th, goes to September 1st, and that's active all day. Let's see, what do we got? 8:13. How'd my schedule go? Had a clock wheel. Well, time for Florida news. On this one, Florida Attorney General James Olthmeyer released court-ordered rewrite for Florida Amendment 3, the proposed property tax measure heading to the November 3rd ballot. The updated language follows a judge's ruling that the original phrasing was politically biased. If approved by 60% of the voters, the amendment will significantly alter state property taxes.
We're going to be doing another story on that for Up the Middle, where we're going to be talking with some of the state's real estate experts and tax experts. The new title changed from Save Our Homes from Excessive Property Taxes to Increased Homestead Exemption, Lower Cap on Increases in Non-Homestead Property Assessments. I think I kind of like the first one. Neutral summary removed promotional slogans to comply with the Circuit Court's transparency ruling. Yeah, that's probably important. The amendment raises the non-school homestead exemption to $150,000 in 2027 and $250,000 in 2028, indexing inflation starting in 2029. Residency rule: new Florida residents would receive a smaller scale exemption until living in the state for 5 years. And I hit 5 years in October, baby. The non-homestead cap lowers the annual assessment increase cap for rental and commercial properties from 10 to 5%. Local spending limits places restrictions on how local governments and counties can allocate property tax revenue for services and operations. Yeah. Is this the one? I think this might be the amendment that Florida sheriffs are actually against. Florida Sheriff's Association has recently organized aggressive opposition against Amendment 3, a high-profile constitutional property tax cut. The measure will appear on the November 2026 ballot. If your question is instead about recent national policy debates, a council of prominent Florida sheriffs also publicly broke with federal and state leadership to push back against broad mass deportation efforts, targeting undocumented immigrants who do not have criminal records. Shocker. Told you that was going to happen, too. Opposing Amendment 3, the Florida Sheriff's Association officially stated that they are significantly concerned about this proposal, which would scale up homestead exemptions from $50,000 to $250,000 by 2028. While it sounds favorable for homeowners, law enforcement and public safety groups oppose it due to the following concerns. Devastated budgets. The measure is estimated to drain up to $12 billion annually from local government revenues. Hospitality, tourism. Sheriffs like Grady Judge and Bob Gualtieri warn that because it strips local funding without a replacement revenue mechanism, it will directly compromise first responder services and result in longer emergency response times. The FSA cautions that the measure limits home rule and potentially hands over local budget controls to state officials in Tallahassee. They also push back on undocumented mass deportations. Earlier this year, a faction of Republican Florida sheriffs serving on the State Immigration Enforcement Council publicly split from Governor Ron DeSantis' strict hardline immigration approach. Leaders like Sheriff Grady Judd clarified that while they fully support deporting violent criminals, criminal troublemakers, and individuals while active deportation warrants, they oppose sweeps targeting otherwise law-abiding, undocumented immigrants. The sheriffs argued that those who are gainfully working, supporting families, and paying taxes are actively helping society and should instead be granted practical pathway to legal status. Both. A Riverview woman was charged with first-degree murder after authorities said she supplied drugs containing fentanyl and carfentanil to a 36-year-old woman who later died from an overdose. Katrina Brodus, 39, was arrested Wednesday on a charge of first-degree murder resulting from the unlawful distribution of a controlled substance, according to the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. The investigation began after Caitlin Thal, 36, was found dead inside a vehicle in the 12,000 block of Horseshoe Bend Drive in Lithia. Authorities said drug paraphernalia and suspected narcotics were found around her. According to investigators, Thal met with Brodus the night before her death and obtained fentanyl from her, according to the sheriff's office. Testing of the drugs recovered at the scene detected xylazine, carfentanil, cocaine, and fentanyl. Toxicology testing found the amount of fentanyl and carfentanil in Thal's blood was 18 times a lethal dose. Hillsborough Middle School teacher was arrested Friday after investigators accused him of exchanging inappropriate messages with a former teenage student for years. Christian Snyder, 31, a teacher at Memorial Medical School, faces 2 counts of solicitation or possession of child sexual abuse material and 1 count of unlawful use of a two-way communication device. Authorities began investigating Schneider last month and learned he had been sending inappropriate messages to a former student from Franklin Middle School, according to the sheriff's office. Schneider told deputies the inappropriate communication with the student had begun occurring since 2023. The sheriff's office did not disclose any additional information about the student or the nature of the communications. Jacksonville police say a man was arrested Sunday in connection with his brother's fatal stabbing at a home in Ocean Way area off Davis Road. Officers found 30-year-old Ryan Daniels critically injured Saturday night. He later died at a local hospital. Detectives quickly identified 38-year-old Eric Mincy as a suspect. He is now being held in Duval County Jail on murder charge. Police are investigating after a man was found shot multiple times inside a condemned vacant apartment in Brentwood in North Jacksonville. Detectives with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office homicide and crime scene units are working the case and asking for anyone with information to contact the JSO or Crime Stoppers to help identify those responsible. Jacksonville lottery players might want to check their Fantasy 5 tickets. A winning quick pick worth about $61,800 was sold at the Murphy Express on 103rd Street. Winners must claim big prizes at a Florida Lottery District office, and Jacksonville's office on Phillips Highway is open weekdays with appointments optional. A Jacksonville beach fishing trip turned life or death when a local man collapsed after stopping to pet a dog. A nearby officiant immediately began CPR, and the doctors say saved his life. The chance encounter has grown into an ongoing friendship, and both hope the story encourages more people in Jacksonville to learn CPR and look out for neighbors. That's cool. Got 2 more minutes. Hit some ad spots. A motorcyclist in his mid-20s died after an SUV turned into his path on North Main Street near 16th Street in Jacksonville on Saturday, this closing the road for hours. Police say the intersection has no traffic signal, and the SUV driver stayed at the scene. This is Jacksonville's 113th traffic death of the year, the 13th involving a motorcycle. Young woman's killing went unsolved for nearly 40 years. Then the phone rang. A decades-old Jacksonville homicide has led to an arrest after a Middleburg man contacted authorities saying he was responsible for the 1987 killing of a young mother, Melissa Missy Ellison. Jacksonville Sheriff's Office cold case detectives and Project Cold Case efforts helped revive the investigation, giving Ellison's family new hope for justice, even as they stress that an arrest is only the beginning of the healing. What do we got next? Ad spots. Got to take a break. When we come back, weather, tide, more Florida news. We'll be back after this. Have you been around Boyertown lately? I mean, in like the past 20 years. At least that long ago, Jane and Paul Stahl and some of Jane's students began selling sponsorships to various Boyertown businesses. Each one purchased a bear statue, and then each was designed and painted by the sponsor and a local artist. That was some 20 years ago. Now, they are not only all over Boyertown, but all over the country. And you can track them down and hunt them, like amazing pieces of art should be. Buy the newly released book, Bear Fever, It's Catching, Chapter 1, written and edited by Diane O'Sullivan. Use the link at mastiff.media by going to www.mastiff.media/sponsors and find the Bear Fever link. That's www.mastiff.media/sponsors. In conjunction with Studio B Art Gallery, Boyertown, Pennsylvania, and Mastiff.media.
Do you have a podcast, or maybe a live stream, or even an actual radio show? How about considering expanding your audience? Go to www.mastiff.media today and check out Mastiff.media and what we offer in talk radio. Sign up at www.mastiff.media/join. That's Mastiff, like the dog, .media. If your show's about positive talk, conservative or progressive talk, 24/7 news, sports, the LGBT community, or pretty much anything, we're interested. Again, that's www.mastiff.media/join. Run with the big dogs. Go to www.mastiff.media. Mastiff.media.
What are you doing later? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym. But not just any gym. Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Walk right up to the door. There's a QR code on the door. You can sign up right there. You've got no excuse. But not only that, their equipment is amazing. It's kept up well. It's expanded. There's stretching area. There's CrossFit. There's hardcore training. A dedicated area for stretching. Dunk tanks. Sauna. Everything you need to get that Hernando beach body or keep your Clearwater beach body. You can train with your shirt off. You can scream. You can yell. And you won't be intimidated either. Go to Momentum Fitness and Wellness on US 19 in Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates. Build the momentum at Momentum Fitness and Wellness. All right. Time for the weather. In Pensacola, it's 81 degrees. High today is 94. Sunny. Low tides at 12:52 in Panama City Beach. It's 85 degrees. It'll be sunny all day. A high of 93. Low tide is at 10:19. Cedar Key, it's 86 degrees. Cloudy today. High of 90. Low tide is at 11:57. Hernando Beach at 79 degrees. Cloudy today. High of 90. Low tide at 12:55. Hudson Creek, it's 84 degrees. Sunny. High of 90. Low tide is at 10:55 this morning. Newport Richey, it's 84 degrees, high of 90, sunny. Low tide will be at 11:45 this morning. Clearwater Beach, it's 86 degrees, sunny with a high of 90. Low tide is at 9:31 this morning. Safety Harbor, it's 79 degrees. Wow, that's a big difference. 79 degrees, high of 90. Sunny today, the low tide at 11:17. Port Manatee, it's 82 degrees and sunny, high of 92. Low tide is at 8:30. Sarasota, which is right about now. One more minute. Sarasota, it's 80 degrees. Sunny today with a high of 92. Low tide is right now, 11:29. Fort Myers, 81 degrees. Sunny with a high of 94. Low tide, 11:29 this morning. All right, it is coming up on 8:30. Time for Florida news. And then we're going to finish today with a bunch of other different features. Where's my Florida news? Here it is. The one, here we go. This is key. Florida Attorney General James Altemeyer released a court-ordered rewrite of Florida Amendment 3, the proposed property tax measure, heading to the November 3rd ballot. The updated language follows a judge's ruling that the original phrasing was politically biased. If approved by 60% of the voters, the amendment will significantly alter state property taxes. The new title changed from, quote, Save Our Homes from Excessive Property Taxes, unquote, to Increased Homestead Exemption, Lower Cap on Increases in Non-Homestead Property Assessments. Okay. The neutral summary removed promotional slogans to comply with the Circuit Court's transparency ruling. The amendment proposes a homestead exemption boost. It raises the non-school homestead exemption to $150,000 in 2027 and $250,000 in 2028, indexed to inflation starting in 2029. The residency rule, new Florida residents would receive a smaller scaled exemption until living in the state for 5 years. Non-homestead cap lowers the annual assessment increase for rental and commercial properties from 10 to 5%. This places restrictions on how local governments and counties can allocate property tax revenue for services and operations. Florida Sheriff's Association has recently organized aggressive opposition against Amendment 3, a high-profile constitutional property tax cut. The measure will appear on this November's ballot. Florida Sheriff's Association officially stated they are significantly concerned about the proposal, which would scale up homestead exemptions from $50,000 to $250,000 by 2028. While it sounds favorable for homeowners, law enforcement and public safety groups oppose it due to the following concerns. It devastates their budgets, meaning the measure is estimated to drain up to $12 billion annually from local government revenues. Sheriffs like Grady Judge and Bob Gualtieri warn that because it strips local funding from without a replacement revenue mechanisms, it will directly compromise first responder services and result in longer emergency response times. The FSA cautions that the measure will limit home rule and potentially hands over local budget controls to state officials. They also pushed back on undocumented mass deportations. Earlier this year, a faction of Republican Florida sheriffs serving on the State Immigration Enforcement Council publicly split from Governor Ron DeSantis' strict hardline immigration approach. Leaders like Sheriff Grady Judd clarified that while they fully support deporting violent criminals, criminal troublemakers, and individuals with active deportation warrants, they oppose sweeps targeting otherwise law-abiding, undocumented immigrants. Sheriffs argue that those who are gainfully working, supporting families, and paying taxes are actively helping society and should instead be granted a practical pathway to legal status. Florian Mann, the founder of Halifax Journal. Daytona Beach readers get a look back at Florian Mann, the energetic newspaper man who launched the Halifax Journal in 1883, the forerunner of today's News Journal. His inventive first issue, printed on cloth after a newspaper delay, helped establish journalism in early Daytona. The paper now invites locals to share old photos from Volusia and Flagler's past. A high-quality recording of Dead Poets Society Welcome to Rockville at Daytona International Speedway is now streaming online, giving Daytona Beach rock fans a chance to relive May's festival. The release comes as the band gears up to drop their new album, Monarch, in October, keeping the city's big rock festival moment in the spotlight a little longer. A Riverview woman has been charged with first-degree murder after authorities said she supplied drugs containing fentanyl and carfentanil to a 36-year-old man who died from an overdose. 36-year-old woman who died from she was trans, who died from an overdose. Katrina Brodus, 39, was arrested Wednesday on a charge of first-degree murder resulting from the unlawful distribution of a controlled substance. The investigation began after Caitlin Thal, a biological female, not a trans, 36, was found dead inside a vehicle in the 12,000 block of Horseshoe Bend Drive. Authorities said the drug paraphernalia and suspected narcotics were found around her. Thal met with Broadus the night before her death and obtained fentanyl from her, according to the sheriff's office. Testing of drugs recovered at the scene detected xylazine, carfentanil, cocaine, and fentanyl. Toxicology testing found the amount of fentanyl and carfentanil in Thal's bloodline. I keep saying bloodline. I said that earlier. In Thal's blood was 18 times the lethal dose. Wow. It's just, 18 times. A Hillsborough County middle school teacher was arrested Friday after investigators accused him of exchanging inappropriate messages with a former teenage student. Christian Snyder, 31, a teacher at Memorial Middle School, faces 2 counts of solicitation and possession of a child sexual abuse material, and 1 count of unlawful use of a two-way communication device. Authorities began investigating Schneider last month and learned he had been sending inappropriate messages to a former student from Franklin Middle School. Schneider told deputies the inappropriate communication came with the student. Communication with the student had been occurring since 2023. The sheriff's office did not release any additional information. Police are investigating after a man was found shot multiple times inside a condemned vacant apartment in the Brentwood section of North Jacksonville. Detectives with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office homicide and crime scene units are working the case and asking anyone with information to contact JSO or Crime Stoppers to help identify who is responsible. Jacksonville police arrested a man on Sunday in connection with his brother's fatal stabbing at a home in the Ocean Way area off Davis Road. Officers found 30-year-old Ryan Daniels critically injured Saturday evening. He later died at a local hospital. Detectives quickly identified 38-year-old Eric Mincy as the suspect. He is now being held in Duval County Jail on murder. And we're going to do traffic, mad spots, and then some features. We're going to switch some of that around. Traffic right now, starting back up in the peninsula. Refresh too to see if there's anything actually new. Extra congestion in downtown Pensacola. This along the 10 as you approach 29. The rest of the 10 looks good as you move east. There's a disabled vehicle in Holmes County on 10 West Ramp at the exit 112 and State Route 79. Roan Rager is on scene. Tallahassee has congestions all along 10. Allow extra time there. And some downtown. Ten looks good as you move into Jacksonville. Jacksonville, on the other hand, does not look good. 95 between the 5 o'clock position of the Beltway all the way into the downtown. Congested with multiple incidents. Also on the Beltway at the 5 o'clock position. N95 just outside the Beltway at that same location. All sorts of incidents, all sorts of congestion. Just allow lots of extra time as you come from the southeast into Jacksonville. Coming down the coast, 95 looks good as you get to Daytona Beach. There still seems to be, well, I got an unbalanced load of laundry in the laundry room. Disabled vehicle in Volusia County on I-4 West before mile marker 116. Right shoulder is blocked there. That's still going. Orlando is the usual mess. Allow extra time coming south or west on 4 as you approach Orlando from the north. Also from the south, anything downtown is congested. 528 has a new incident. That's a disabled vehicle in Orange County. At mile marker 24 in Dallas Boulevard, it's off on the shoulder. New incident in St. Petersburg. Special event on 16th Street, both directions at Tropicana Field. That's for the ball game tonight. Usual congestion throughout I-4, 275, and everything else throughout the downtown of Tampa. Nothing out of the ordinary. Some new congestion throughout Bradenton, Sarasota, and Venice. All stuff that we don't usually see. Allow extra time there. It's on 75 and what's the other one? Sorry. 41. But definitely plenty along 75 in North Venice to Northport. And Fort Myers doesn't look too bad. There is still the multi-vehicle crash in Lee County on State Route 80. That's at Palm Beach Boulevard East before Buckingham Road. That's still in the right lane. And that was just recently updated, so no huge change there. Must not be a good one. Well, that might be the point. It might be a good accident, but not in a good way. Miami with the usual congestion downtown. No major incidents. There is a crash in Miami-Dade County on State Route 826 before Northwest 37th Avenue and Douglas Road. That's on 826 West. That's blocking the right lane. Disabled vehicle in Broward County on Florida's Turnpike South from before mile marker 76 to mile marker 73, causing congestion there. Left lane is blocked. All right, that's traffic for today. Weather. We got some features coming up for the rest of the show. I'll see you back here tomorrow morning. This has been the Mastiff Media Morning Show. We usually have that queued up. There we go.
If you want to spot the happiest people on the Space Coast, don't look at the cruise terminals. Look at the beach the day before their cruise. You can tell immediately who planned a beach day and who didn't. The ones who did, they're glowing, sun-kissed, relaxed, sipping something cold, toes in the sand, no rush whatsoever. The ones who didn't, yeah, they're hunched over their luggage, stressing about boarding times, wondering if they should have flown in earlier. To me, it's the easiest travel choice in the world. Start your cruise with a beach day. And nowhere does that better than Cocoa Beach. I'm Kelly Bowman, a travel journalist exploring Florida's Space Coast, one story, one shoreline, and one hidden gem at a time. Today, we're talking about why a beach day before your sail day is the ultimate travel upgrade, how surf lessons fit perfectly into a pre-cruise adventure, and the surprising way your brain responds when you relax before your vacation even begins. Let's head to the sand. Why beach time beats cruise ship pools? Here's the thing about cruise ship pools. They're fun. Eventually. But the day it embarks, they're crowded, loud, and filled with people who haven't even had their room assigned yet. It's not exactly a vacation vibe. Meanwhile, Cocoa Beach is sitting right there. Wide open, peaceful, warm, and infinitely better for your sanity. A few reasons the beach wins. every single time. 1, you can actually hear yourself think. On the beach, the soundtrack is waves. On a ship pool deck during boarding, it's music, announcement, luggage wheels, and the occasional splash war. If your goal is to exhale, the beach gives you the space to do it. 2, you don't have to fight for a chair. No circling like a hawk, no towels marking territory, just sand everywhere, yours for the taking. 3, the water temperature is perfect year-round. People are surprised by this, but the ocean here stays swimmable most of the year. Ship pools, not always heated, especially right after boarding. 4, you can actually stretch your legs. Ship pools are compact. The beach is endless. Walk the shoreline, dip in and out, sit under an umbrella, or sprawl out like a starfish. I don't judge. Trust me, your body will thank you. 5, it mentally shifts you into vacation mode sooner. When I talk to seasoned cruisers, they always say the same thing. The moment I sit on Cocoa Beach, that's when my cruise really starts. There's something powerful about letting the ocean do the decompressing for you. Surf lessons for cruise passengers. Surf lessons get talked about a lot, but here's something I've noticed. They're the one pre-cruise activity where people surprise themselves the most. Even if you've never touched a board in your life, Cocoa Beach is uniquely designed for beginners. Gentle waves, sandy bottom, warm water, patient instructors. It's basically the perfect surf classroom. But here are some fresh angles people don't think about. 1, surf lessons boost your confidence before boarding. Trying something new, especially something bold, creates this electric energy. It follows you onto the ship. You feel braver, more alive, more open to adventure. Even when I didn't stand during my first lesson, I still felt like I accomplished something. It's like the ocean gave me permission to enjoy the week ahead. 2, it's the best pre-cruise icebreaker for families. You will wipe out, you will all laugh, and you will cheer for each other. If you want a bonding experience before surrounded by thousands of strangers, this is the one. 3, surfing burns off travel jitters. All the adrenaline and tension from flying, packing, rushing, a few minutes paddling, balancing, and splashing around, and your body resets. 4, sunrise surf lessons are a hidden secret. Less crowded, cooler temps, dreamy lighting, and you're done before breakfast. Most travelers don't even know morning lessons exist. 4, sunrise surf sessions are a hidden secret. Less crowded, cooler temps, dreamy lighting, and you're done before breakfast. Most travelers don't even know morning lessons exist. 5, it's shockingly easy to fit into your schedule. 1 hour, that's all you need. Surf schools here know cruise timing. They know how early people wake up. They know how to get you in and out without stress. It's the perfect pre-cruise adventure you never see advertised. Relaxation before vacation intensity. Cruises are amazing, but let's be honest. They start with intensity. Finding your muster station, navigating crowds, downloading the app, double-checking reservations, spotting your luggage across the atrium. It's fun, but it's a lot. A pre-cruise beach day flips the script. 1, your nervous system adjusts before the crowds hit. Think of the beach as a warm-up before the main event. Your body softens, your breathing deepens, and your mind stops racing. 2, you avoid vacation whiplash. The jarring switch from the airport chaos to the cruise chaos is real. Beach time gives you a buffer. 3, you get one peaceful, slow moment before the itinerary takes over. Once you're on the ship, your day is full of notifications, shows, dinners, and activities. Not bad, just busy. The beach gives you a rare chance to savor the quiet. 4, it helps with jet lag. Natural sunlight plus ocean breeze equals the best reset for your internal clock. And 5, you start your cruise feeling refreshed instead of frazzled. It's a small choice, but the ripple effect lasts the whole week. Fresh new tips. And of course, I have a few tips you might not have thought about. Bring a transition outfit. After a beach morning, change into something dry and lightweight before boarding. A small shift in clothing helps your body transition from sand to ship mode. Try a beach meditation or 5-minute grounding exercise. Even beginners can do this. Bare feet in the sand, eyes closed, listen to the waves, you'll feel different, calmer, immediately. Choose your beach spot based on your mood. Each beach has a different vibe. Near the pier equals lively and social. Lori Wilson Park equals quiet and nature-filled. Shepherd Park is easy access with lots of amenities. Pack a pre-cruise beach snack kit. We don't want to get hangry. Trail mix, crackers, water. Keeps you full without affecting your cruise day appetite. Bring a tiny microfiber towel. These things are awesome. They dry fast, double as a sand brush, sweat cloth, or emergency wrap. Need a low-effort activity? Try shoreline shell hunting. This is my favorite. Searching for shells is my happy place. You'll be surprised at how meditative it feels. And don't forget after sun care. You do not want to start your cruise with a burn. Even a little hydration lotion or aloe makes your skin so much happier on day one of your cruise. A beach day before your cruise day isn't just a filler activity. It's a reset button, a mindset shift, a little breath of fresh ocean air before days full of excitement, food, entertainment, and movement. There's more ahead in this series as we keep exploring the experiences, stories, and insider moments that make the Space Coast such a perfect place to begin your adventure, whether you're cruising, surfing, or simply soaking in the sun. Until next time, I'm Kelly Bowman. See you along the shoreline. To keep exploring Cocoa Beach beyond this episode, check out www.visitspacecoast.com/Cocoa Beach for more guides and inspiration. And make sure you subscribe so you never miss what's ahead, because there's so much more to discover. Until next time, I'm Kelly Bowman. I'll see you along the shoreline.
Life is busy, but your checking account doesn't have to be. With GTE Carefree Checking, you get a simple, convenient, free checking account. No monthly maintenance fees, no minimum balance required. Switch your direct deposit in seconds and enjoy secure banking that works for you. From an award-winning mobile app to real-time payments with Zelle, plus access to over 30,000 fee-free ATMs nationwide, GTE Financial goes beyond money. Learn more at gtefinancial.org/carefree. Federally insured by NCUA.
Hi, I'm Kim Vanell in Wanganui, New Zealand. It's Monday, August 17th. Today, Trump tells South Korea he's scaling back joint military exercises after Seoul refused to act against Iran. The Taliban tells the international community they're here to stay after 5 years in power. And a typhoon simulator in China batters people with 100-mile-an-hour winds and flash flooding in an attempt to prepare for the next big disaster. This is Reuters World News, bringing you everything you need to know from the front lines in 10 minutes, 7 days a week.
Hey, it's Kelly Rowland. You may not know this, but I have eczema, so I get how it can steal your time. But why let eczema take over when you can talk to your doctor about Ebglyss?
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin, or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you are allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection. Paid partnership with Lilly.
Respect your time. Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
US President Donald Trump has ordered the Pentagon to substantially reduce joint military exercises with South Korea, which get underway today. The move raises fresh questions about America's alliance with its longtime ally. In his announcement on social media, Trump cites both the cost of the drills and Seoul's refusal to take part in actions against Iran. He also says the drills send a signal that is, quote, totally inappropriate and hostile to a country that has, for as long as he has been president, been unthreatening and respectful, talking about North Korea. Here's Reuters Korea Bureau Chief Brenda Go.
Under Trump, the relationship has seemed to become a lot more transactional.
This is not the first time actually that Trump has said that he wants to reduce these joint military exercises with South Korea. He has talked also about troop reduction in South Korea, and also he has asked South Korea to invest more in the U.S. in exchange for reducing tariffs. So the Iran war is, I guess, one of the newer issues. Trump said in his post that South Korea had declined to join his denuclearization of Iran, which a lot of analysts are saying could be. It seems to be the main trigger point for this move. There's been a lot of like reading the tea leaves on what Trump aims to with this abrupt statement, because Trump has since coming back to power has been seeking another meeting with Kim Jong-un, the North Korean leader, who he met at least 3 times during his first term. Some analysts say that Trump might be doing this in order to gain some leverage against Russia and China, who North Korea has grown very close to, because North Korea has grown more hostile towards South Korea, and he wants to try and balance this a little.
South Korea says it hopes it can help restart talks with North Korea, and that Seoul will do whatever it can to help make that happen, while also staying locked in with the US militarily. US envoy for Gaza, Jared Kushner, is due to sit down with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today. The pair are at odds, with Netanyahu announcing last week that US President Trump's latest roadmap for peace in Gaza is unacceptable, and Kushner in the region to try and get it across the line. On Sunday, Kushner met with Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, as well as Egyptian, Turkish and Qatari mediators and some Hamas officials in an attempt to advance Trump's Gaza plans. That's according to a diplomatic source who says Israel is particularly concerned about Washington's demand to end targeted assassinations of Hamas militants in Gaza as the group rebuilds its forces. To markets now, and the Fed's July meeting minutes are out this week as investors look for clues on the path of interest rates. Plus, a wave of major retail earnings, including Walmart and Target. For more on the week ahead, here's Mike Dolan from our sister podcast, Morning Bid.
Yeah, we're kind of deep in the weeds of the summer holiday season, but there is some things still on the calendar. We come into the week with a pretty weak US retail sales report for July that came out on Friday, and so we'll look very closely at Walmart and Home Depots and Target. In fact, they have earnings results out during the week, just for a reality check on that through the second quarter. And then we have the Fed's, the minutes of its most recent policymaking meeting, which will be interesting because that was a split meeting. 3 Fed policymakers voted to raise interest rates at that. And so we'll look through the details just to see if there's any indication about thinking going into the September meeting, which, given the softness of the retail numbers and inflation last week, means that it's less likely now to see a rate rise then.
Thanks, Mike. You can catch Morning Bid wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, it's Kelly Rowland. You may not know this, but I have eczema. So I get how it can steal your time. But why let eczema take over when you can talk to your doctor about Ebglyss?
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin, or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you are allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection. Paid partnership with Lilly.
Respect your time. Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
This weekend marked 5 years since the Taliban took power in Afghanistan. During that time, the Taliban have imposed sweeping restrictions on women and girls, barring millions from education and limiting their freedom of movement. International organizations say the Taliban have struggled to address the natural and humanitarian crises facing the country, in part because Afghan women are under severe restrictions. But analysts say the Taliban have made quiet diplomatic inroads as some countries weigh the need to engage with the government. Rick Noack is our bureau chief for Pakistan and Afghanistan, based in Islamabad.
They're still internationally unrecognized. Russia is the only country that has formally recognized them as a government. But a lot of countries are starting to realize that 5 years into this government being in place, they might not have another option than to try to deal with them. And that's what we're seeing happening. Obviously, neighboring countries like China, Pakistan were the first to engage. We've seen Gulf countries engage with them as well about economic issues. And increasingly, we're seeing European nations talking to them as well about deportation of Afghans.
On the weekend, the government held a parade celebrating what it calls Victory Day from Western domination. And Rick says the Taliban wants to spread that message far and wide.
What was special this year was really that they were trying to make a point of, we're here to stay. And they've been organizing events in other cities as well, outside the country. For example, here in Islamabad, but also in China, in Malaysia even, to really drive home that point that if you want to do anything in Afghanistan these days, you do need to engage with us.
Hundreds of migrants in Spain's North African enclave of Ceuta stage a protest on a popular beach, urging authorities to grant them asylum instead of sending them back to Morocco. They're among the thousands left in Ceuta after a mass crossing 2 weeks ago, which saw some 72,000 people surge across the border. The vast majority of them have since returned voluntarily. Spain's Interior Minister says those who crossed illegally will not be allowed to stay, travel to the mainland, or obtain legal status, except in rare cases of extreme vulnerability. China is looking for ways to protect itself after Typhoon Dolphin hit the country last week, its strongest this year. One way people are trying to prepare is by attending a typhoon simulator experience. Think 100-mile-an-hour winds, torrential rain, and surging water. Reuters video journalist Nikoko Chan tried it out in Hangzhou.
That was 900 tons of water, super strong.
Dressed in wetsuits and hard hats, participants experience gale-force winds and torrential rain. Then, in the flash flooding segment, they wade through 400 tons of water.
During our flash flood training, we are standing in a pen, watching the floodwaters rise, waiting for the gate to open in a braced position, and yet are still going to get knocked down and dragged away. This really teaches you that if you're ever in this type of situation, the best form of protection and preparation is to really be more aware of your surroundings and maybe not even be outside to begin with. These types of trainings really just teach you not to be overconfident when you're approaching natural disasters. Sometimes when you're watching from a distance, typhoon-force winds, rising floodwaters, they don't not seem so strong. But when you're actually experiencing them firsthand, you quickly realize how severely you've underestimated them.
American actress Hayden Panettiere has died at the age of 36. US media outlets have cited a statement from the father of the Heroes and Nashville star, calling her an incredible light and a force of nature. No cause of death has been reported. Opening statements begin today in the murder trial of Dwayne Keffe D. Davis, the former gang leader accused of orchestrating the 1996 drive-by shooting that killed Tupac Shakur in Las Vegas. Davis, who is 63, has pleaded not guilty to a single count of murder. Finally, if you're listening to this, you know the value of staying ahead of the news. So just a quick reminder, with the Reuters app, you can do all of it. Listen and watch Reuters podcasts, get analysis, breaking news, and all the stories shaping our world, all in one place. There's a link in the description to download the Reuters app and start getting pure news straight from the source. Don't forget to follow us on your favorite podcast player. If you're listening on a smart speaker, just ask for the latest news from Reuters 7 days a week. We'll be back tomorrow with our daily headline show.
And that's it, gang. I'll be back tomorrow, too, for the Daily Mastiff Media Morning Show. I'm Yergz. Have a good day.